Hello, fellow streamers. Welcome to the latest episode of the Keeping Karlsson Matchup Maximizer, a podcast where today I, Elan Dubrovsky, will take a look at next week's NHL schedule to help you come up with which teams you should be looking at for streaming players from in order to be successful in your head-to-head matchups. If you are in the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League or in a league with similar settings, next week may be the last week of the regular season, which for some people may be meaningless. You're just looking to the playoffs, and you could totally ignore this episode and go back to the playoffs episode that I did with Jeremy, where we looked at the matchups that are going to be important to you. For others, this next matchup means everything. You're going to be willing to drop any player that's not going to be helpful to you to make sure to win this matchup, get into those playoffs, then let your future self worry about what to do in the playoffs after that. All we need to do is win. So this is a critical week, and so let's just dive right into it and see which teams we need to target. Again, we're looking for teams with off-day schedules. Next week is another typical Tuesday is somewhat busy, 10 teams playing. Maybe I won't count it as busy, but Thursday, Saturday, super busy. And then all the other days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, are super light days. So no point streaming someone to get their game on Saturday. Your roster is probably full, though I say probably. If you're a good player, you already have checked your team. You've set your roster for next week, so you know which days you have slots for. Maybe you could only fit a left wing. Maybe you could only fit a center on the Thursday. So, you got to keep that in mind so that you're going to stream in the players that will get you the most games played, hopefully give you some bang for your buck. We obviously also want to look for some good players. So let's dive into it. The best schedule of the week next week, honestly, it kind of depends on your situation, because an argument can be made that the New York Rangers have the best schedule next week because they have a super rare 5-game schedule. They play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, which in theory is very good. 5 games. Of course, it depends on where you can fit people in. Assuming that you can't fit someone in on the Thursday or the Saturday, maybe even the Tuesday, all of a sudden we're looking at a 2 or a 3-game week, in which case that's not the best schedule of the week. The best schedule would go to the Winnipeg Jets because they've got 4 off-day games on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you're definitely going to be looking at either the Rangers or the Jets. Again, it depends who you can fit where. Let's start with the Rangers, though. It's always fun to see a 5-game schedule, and there may be some players available to you. I'm recording this now at 7:16. Is the exact time right now on Saturday night. Sometimes I like to do this a little bit later, but I got plans. It's rare. I guess you've heard me say it a couple of times. Always very exciting when I do. I'm going out with some dads again for some drinks, so I didn't want to risk future Elan not knowing what he was talking about. So right now I am very sober and ready to look at the Rangers and who you may want to stream. Their game is about to start today, and it looks like the lines that they are rolling are Zibanejad, Kreider, and newly acquired Jack Roslovic on the top line, and then Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere, that consistent second line. So right away, if you look at percent rostered on Yahoo or even in the Cupful, the one guy that stands out in the top 6 that's likely available to you is Jack Roslovic. Take a look. He's been on such a hot run with Columbus. And I think in general, he probably won't be able to keep up what he was doing. He really had something good going with Gaudreau and Jenner. But hey, if he's going to be on the top line with Zibanejad and Kreider and playing 5 games next week, seems like a must add. Seems like a clear streamer of the week. Roslovic is now 6% rostered on Yahoo, which is nothing. If it's a must-win week, find a way to get him in. And then if you can't get him, hey, go for Lafreniere, who's always been solid. He hasn't been super consistent lately like Roslovic, but pretty close. He had a goal and 2 assists against the Leafs a couple games ago. Didn't do anything against Florida, but you go a few games back and we have a lot of 4-shot games. Lafreniere obviously playing with Panarin and Trocheck is great. So those are your clear 2 streamers. Lafreniere is rostered down 42% of leagues, so he may not be available to you. If either of them are, you got to jump on them, especially if you could fit 4 of those games. But even if you could only fit the Monday, Tuesday, and then you can't fit Thursday, Saturday, grab the Monday, Tuesday, and then you can always consider whether you're going to drop this person, or maybe this person will become someone who's worth holding and you'll drop someone else on your roster that's playing Thursday, Saturday to make room to get those extra Roslovic games. Let's see. New team. You never know. Maybe the lines will change. Maybe the Rangers are about to get blown up by the Blues and the lines will change midway through the game. But for now, I'm definitely interested in anyone in that New York top 6. Then you could also look at D, right? If you let's say have room on D, you only are holding 3 defensemen, you could get a guaranteed 5 games from someone. Maybe you're taking a look at a Keandre Miller, who's gotten going a little bit lately. Had an assist in that last game against Florida. He's basically been getting an assist every second game for the last 8 games. So in 5 games, hopefully you're looking at 2 or 3 assists. He's been decent for blocks, gets you some shots, so you can do a lot worse than Keandre Miller. And then for your deeper leagues, Hey, Alex Wenberg also was acquired. He's been playing on the third line going into today. It's going to be Wenberg playing with Kakko and Cooley. Again, things could change, but also in 5 games, maybe Wenberg could do something. He's been known to get assists now and then. We'll see how he fits in on his new team, but maybe someone to consider if you're in a deeper league where Roslovic and Lafreniere are long gone. So that's the Rangers. Let's switch over now to the Winnipeg Jets. At the end, I'll do a little summary of the players that I think are the top streamers of the week. I guess I won't count Lafreniere. He's rostered in too many leagues. Roslovic right now is my clear number one. If you can get him, of course. Then you have the Jets. They made a key acquisition also at the trade deadline, getting Tyler Toffoli, and he unfortunately will likely not be available to you, rostered in 84% of Yahoo leagues. And yeah, the thing is with Winnipeg is their top 6 might not be available to you just at all. Like they were rolling, at least yesterday in Seattle, it was Scheifele, Connor, and Nemesnikov. I think we're just going to assume that Toffoli is going to take over that spot, and then Monahan, Ehlers, and Iafallo was there because Gabe Vilardi is injured. So there is that 6th spot for as long as Vilardi is out. He's going to be out for just a couple games, so it's possible he'll be back. So this is really tricky. I'm going to assume Vilardi will be back, which means that whole top 6 likely gone. But if you could get any of those people, like if I'm looking at percent rostered here, Monahan only 36% rostered. I mean, I'd be surprised at this point if you could get Sean Monahan, but he's been really great since joining the Jets. He's got a streak of now 3 points in his last 4 games going into today's game against Vancouver. If you can get Monahan, like 100%, I'll take him over Roslovic at this point, especially with the 4 guaranteed spots for you next week, the 4 off-day games. I guess then the guy in the bottom 6 who is obviously worth noting is Nino Niederreiter. He's on a hot streak. It's probably not sustainable. He's got 5 points in his last 4 games, 4 of them goals. But hey, Nino's taking some shots. Nino's always been a good stream when Winnipeg has a good schedule, and this is that week. So I know you may be looking at Nemesnikov and his hot streak, but if I'm picking someone, I'm taking Nino. And then if you really want to dig, after Nino, you can go Nemesnikov. I haven't even mentioned Cole Perfetti. He's been so ice cold. Who knows, maybe with this new set of players on the roster, I could see him getting scratched, or I could see him maybe clicking with someone new. You know, maybe they try a few things. Maybe Perfetti gets another shot if Vilardi's out longer. So I'd keep an eye on Perfetti's deployment, but I would take Nino and maybe Nemesnikov over him. Obviously, it depends a lot on the lines. You're going to have to check game day lines, but you may not have time, right? You may want to jump on one of these players early Monday morning. If it's not in the top 6, there's really not like a sure thing out there. You want someone getting obviously either exposure to Monahan or Ehlers or like, you know, obviously Connor and Scheifele. So maybe a little tough to find a streamer on Winnipeg, but definitely take a look because that is a really great schedule. So aside from those 2 teams, we do have another handful of teams that will give you 3 light day games. So, you know, not the 4 like Winnipeg, but the same as the Rangers. Fewer total games might be the same as the Rangers again. So you got to take a look. Maybe while everyone's going scrambling to get Rangers, you can just go and get a LA King player, get a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then always drop for Saturday. It's always nice, by the way. If you're going to get 3 off day games, I'd rather they be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then you can just, you know, you have a whole weekend available to you now to get a goalie maybe on the Saturday. If your 2 goalies aren't playing, you know, switch to someone on a Sunday if you're full on Saturday. So yeah, let's look at the LA Kings next. Normally, I don't try to make guesses about goalies on this show, but I will say right now, if Cam Talbot is still out there for you, go get Cam Talbot. He's hot again. He's looking great, just like he was at the start of the year. He's the clear starter again, at least for now. So he's probably going to get the Monday against the Islanders. Maybe he gets Monday, Wednesday. Maybe he gets Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So you might get 3 games out of Cam Talbot on a surging Kings team. So yeah, definitely grab Talbot. He'd be my streamer of the week, by the way, over any of these people. If you're in a league like the Cupful, where goalies are generally worth more points when they play, then definitely go grab Talbot over any of these streamers, because I think you might be able to get like 3 games and before the weekend potentially, which could be even better. Though I'd imagine LA would give Riddick the game on Friday against Chicago, then roll Talbot on the Saturday against Dallas. But hey, you could still, well, he's probably a hold anyways. It doesn't even matter about before the weekend or not, because I think you should grab Talbot and probably hold him. We'll see if I get a chance to talk about him tomorrow with Steve Laidlaw. Brian is out of the country, so it's going to be me and Steve Laidlaw, a longtime guest of the podcast. Always so fun to have him on. It's going to be a really fun mega show. We're going to try to squeeze in all the trades that happened, and Steve always has really interesting takes. So that's going to be a must listen for sure. I'm excited to listen to it, and I'm going to be on it. So I'm excited to listen to what he's going to say. So I'm stoked for that. So a little plug there. But anyways, I was talking about the Kings. Who are we going to stream from the Kings? So the thing is that Adrian Kempe is injured, but he might even be playing today. Again, I'm recording this on Saturday. He might play tonight against Dallas. So I think that it's really hard for me to predict what the lines will be. Like, if I could tell you, in LA's last game, they were rolling with Kopitar, Byfield, and Alex Turcotte on the top line. I would assume that's Kempe's spot, though, right? So then they were going with Fiala, Deneau, and Moore. And then that left Dubois in the bottom six with Anderson, Dolan, and Laferriere. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get a really good forward streamer for you. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But like Turcotte would be nice if he's in the top six like that. But it just doesn't seem likely. And also, he wasn't even doing anything while he was there. Only had 2 shots in the 4-3 win over on Thursday versus Ottawa. So yeah, I mean, the guys that we like that are less than 50% rostered, I mean, somehow if you could get Byfield, that's wild that Byfield is only 47% rostered on Yahoo. In the couple, he's 100%, clearly. Byfield's a slam dunk. He doesn't count for me as a streamer. But again, like, if you can get him, that's a great schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He's scoring. He scored in the last game. He's doing really well. He's on the top line. Like, what more can you want? What more can I even say about Quinton Byfield? He's having his huge breakout this year. Phil Deneau is always a solid choice. I always love Deneau as a streamer. He's been rostered in my couple division like all season long. I know he gets added and dropped, though, in other leagues. So yeah, if Deneau's out there, I'm going to put him right up there with Roslovic as a streamer of the week. And I think he should count, right? Deneau's not rostered in every league. So yeah, I'm going to say Deneau and Roslovic right now are it's between them. And then I guess if you want a defenseman, if you could fit on Saturday, especially Matt Roy, he had that 10-shot game a while ago, then went super cold, but hey, he had 2 assists versus Ottawa yesterday. He goes on and off. He's he gets the blocks. I was going to say he's no Doughty, but Matt Roy is solid enough. I like him. So if you could use a defenseman anyway, get those 4 games by Saturday. You could always drop them on the Sunday. So that's my LA Kings breakdown. But yeah, if somehow Deneau is out there, which seems somewhat likely, I think he counts as a really solid streamer for next week with that LA Kings schedule. We still have a couple more teams that have 3 off-day games. I will get to them in a sec after this quick break. Welcome back to Keeping Karlsson's Matchup Maximizer. We're looking at week 24 of Yahoo. It's March 11th to March 17th, and I've been going through the best schedules, and we still have a couple more teams, like I said, that have 3 off-day schedules. Let's go next to the St. Louis Blues, who play Monday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So not as good as getting the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, but still not too bad. You get the Monday, Wednesday, then you can always reassess after that. If we take a look at who you may want to stream from St. Louis, again, this is going to come down to the lines, right? And they might change. Like in this last game against New Jersey, the Blues split up that top line. Buchnevich went to the second line to play with Shannon Neighbors, and it was Brandon Saad playing with Thomas and Kyrou. Didn't go well. They lost. I haven't seen new lines yet. The Blues are about to start their game today. It's like 7:28 now. Let me see if Shams has retweeted something that I just haven't seen yet about the Blues. Okay, looks like tonight against the Rangers, they're going back to Thomas, Buchnevich, and Kyrou, and then that leaves everyone else as somewhat uninteresting. Shen, Neighbors, Saad on the second line. So yeah, when it's getting spread out like that, the Blues aren't too interesting. They haven't been scoring a ton of goals anyways. So yeah, who am I even going to recommend for you? Is there anyone who's been like at least hot somewhat in the past little while that's not in that top spot? And the answer is really no, aside from maybe a couple defensemen to look at. Like Colton Parayko is not getting you goals or assists, but he has been getting a decent number of couple points, like around 3 per game, just from like a ton of blocks, a decent number of shots. Who knows, maybe one of those shots go in. So you could do worse than a Colton Parayko. Also, a Torrey Krug I'm seeing had like 4 shots in the last game. This isn't insane or anything. He had like already last week, he had a goal and assist in the game against Minnesota back on March 2nd. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not too much I could recommend to you. Like Jake Neighbors sometimes is interesting. I like him better if he's playing with Buchnevich. If we look at just the power plays for the last game against New Jersey, they were rolling with Jake Neighbors on PP1. So yeah, if you're going to go forward, I guess go Neighbors, but it hasn't been especially exciting lately. That doesn't mean he can't do anything next week though. So yeah, I think Neighbors would probably be my best streamer of the week. After, I'll say Parayko for those like really rock solid peripherals. And then yeah, I guess Neighbors and Krug are actually pretty close. Honestly, I think all 3 of them, it could go either way. So all worth looking at if some of the big names that I mentioned before aren't available to you, then take a look at those 3 for the Monday, Wednesday. Probably won't be holds past that all the way till Saturday. Probably won't be worth it. Looking at other teams that have 3 off-day games, we can go next to Anaheim, where you're going to have to wait for those off-day games. Well, Tuesday, I'm counting Tuesday as an off-day. All right, so then in that case, Anaheim gives you Tuesday at Chicago. Maybe they could score some goals, and then Thursday, and then Friday, Sunday. So you could also just wait for the Friday, Sunday stream from the Ducks. I'm going to tell you the lines the Ducks rolled out in their last game, though keep in mind they got clobbered by Dallas, so it's possible that Anaheim's going to change them up. I don't know how many options they really have, but I mean, they're going to go again tomorrow against the Islanders, so you might be able to also get a Sunday savior from the Ducks. And the lines in the last game anyways, McTavish, Killorn, and Jones, and then Terry with Strome and Vetrano. I think that Trevor Zegras is supposed to be back somewhat soon. Let me take a quick look at GameDayTweets.com here. Zegras did not take part in the morning skate. He's out tonight against Dallas. That was the last piece of news, so who knows if he ends up playing tomorrow on Sunday, so definitely take a look at him. And then maybe someone like a Max Jones loses his spot. If not, I guess, yeah, Max Jones. Henrique was so great. How sad is that for Henrique? I think he's the player who lost the most fantasy value going from this like amazing off-day schedule on Anaheim, top line, like top power play. Now he's like, a middle six guy in Edmonton, probably a good like real-life piece for the Oilers, but I don't know how valuable he's going to be for fantasy, and there's not that many off-day games for the Oilers. Yeah, it just kind of kills the value. Number one for me, like Alex Killorn's just been super solid. He's scored in 3 straight games, still only 20% rostered on Yahoo. If you can get Killorn, like, okay, obviously, like Vetrano's gone, Terry's gone, and McTavish is gone. I'm going to assume that Zegras, if he's back, he's not going to be available to you. Obviously, I take any of those guys, but if they're not out there, if you can get Killorn, go get Killorn, I think. And then after that, it depends a bit on the lines. Like you can go with a Ryan Strome who has had points in his last couple games. I have a lot of trouble depending on Ryan Strome. I'd probably go elsewhere. But I think that I'm pretty much looking at Killorn, and then in your super deep leagues, if somehow Max Jones is still there with McTavish and Killorn, then I guess that's not too bad of a spot, though he hasn't done much lately. He went on a little bit of a run, but it's been a while. Former first-round pick, Max Jones, but that feels like ages ago now with the way he's been producing. Okay, so that's Anaheim. Yeah, Killorn. Can I count him? All right, let me actually check the couple percent rostered. That's usually, if it's 100, then we'll say no. But if not, then maybe we can count him as my streamer of the week. And I think he's not a bad choice. But yeah, 98% rostered on Kakupful, so he's probably not available to you in that league, so I don't think I'm going to be able to count Alex Killorn as a streamer of the week. Too bad, because he's been solid, right, when he plays. You can go for one of the defense, you can go Minchukov, see what happens with him, go Zellweger, see what happens. I don't think that it's worth taking a big swing on any of those guys. And then the last team with 3 off-day games is going to be the Chicago Blackhawks, playing Tuesday and then Friday, Sunday. I mean, it's, you're not going to be streaming players from Chicago hoping for a ton of goals here. I still like Nick Foligno for what it's worth, and he's been solid enough. He had a goal and an assist a couple games against Arizona, but he's also was pointless for 3 games before that, though he did have 6 shots in the game versus Colorado. We'll see how he does today against Washington. There's just always a good chance that Chicago's going to just not get any goals in a game. They got shut out twice by Colorado. It looks like their games this week, though, against Anaheim on Tuesday, so they can probably score. Then they have LA Friday and then San Jose Sunday. That Sharks team is super depleted, so maybe you can get something. Obviously, you're going to want to be taking a look at whoever has exposure to Connor Bedard, either at even strength or on the power play. For today's game, for what it's worth, versus the Capitals, looks like they were going with Bedard, Foligno, Kurashev, and then whatever else. So yeah, look at Foligno, look at Kurashev. I'll take Foligno first because he's decent for peripherals. Then go Kurashev. Not too bad, but again, I think I might just wait till the Friday and then grab my Chicago guy for a Friday, Sunday stream rather than just holding just for that Tuesday game against Anaheim. Though, like I said, they did score 5 goals against Arizona, so maybe they could score 5 goals. So if you already have, especially Nick Foligno, then I'd definitely hold for the week, and same with Kurashev. But yeah, I guess there we are for the top streaming schedules of the week. And then, on the flip side, there's a couple teams that are really just looking like if you're in a must-win matchup, you might have to really consider dropping. Like specifically, Tampa Bay and Toronto only play Thursday, Saturday. So it's possible if you have a lower-level player on one of those teams or even a mid-level player, you could potentially drop that player and not lose any games on the week if your roster's already full. So, looking at Tampa, forget about your Sorellis or, whoever you're, holding on to because you're excited about a power play exposure. They just traded for Anthony Duclair. We'll see how he does in his first game today. Looks like, actually, let me take a look here. Tampa's already up 3-0 against Philadelphia. How is Duclair? Okay, so the 3 goals have been Connor Sherry from Radish, Paul from, Duclair and Radish on the power play, and then Hedman from Kucherov, Radish. So yeah, Radish is having himself a game, 3 assists. Wow. But yeah, even if you somehow had the idea to stream in Darren Radish, you're not holding for a Thursday, Saturday, or a Duclair, or a Nick Paul. So yeah, you're going to have to dump any of your Lightning. Obviously, you're not going to dump, your big four. But aside from that, and Hagel. So, okay, Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, Hedman, Hagel are the ones you probably have to hold. After that, there's no one worth holding, even though Duclair's been super hot and has already got an assist in his first game on his new team. And then on Toronto, same deal. Like, there's some players are sometimes interesting. Nyes gets his exposure to Matthews. Tyler Bertuzzi's been decent. But I think, again, for a Thursday, Saturday, you're just holding Nylander, Marner, Matthews, Tavares, Morgan Riley. That's it. Maybe even Samsonov becomes tricky, because what if you hold him? Wow, Tampa just scored again. I'm seeing point from Stamkos and Hedman. But anyway, yeah, so I think you get my point. These teams, and then there's some other teams that maybe only give you one off-day game. You might even have to be tough with them. You take a look at Vancouver. They only play Wednesday, Saturday. So again, you'll get that one Wednesday game. Maybe you could hold for that if you have a player that you like. If you have a Elias Lindholm, maybe you just drop him at this point. He's been so nothing. Or maybe you just hold for that Wednesday hoping for something, but probably not worth it. Yeah, but again, it's so obvious, the line. Obviously you're holding Hughes, Pettersson, JT Miller, Besser. Hronek is probably the one that's on the line, where potentially if you're in a must-win matchup and you're already full on the Saturday without him, if you have 5 defensemen somehow, then maybe you're dropping a Philip Hronek. So good luck to everyone. Okay, hopefully this episode has been helpful to you. Hit me up on the Matchup Maximizer channel on our Patreon Discord if you have any thoughts. I'd be curious to know if you think I missed a player, if there's a player you really like. If I'm going to give my streamer of the week, it's Cam Talbot. Okay, and then it's Phil Deneau and Jack Roslovic. And then Monahan doesn't count. But if you could get him, that would be good. But okay, if any of those guys are available to you, I think they are really great streamers for next week. Yeah, so I really hope that the diehard listeners of Matchup Maximizer, I hope you make it to the playoffs. So obviously, if it's 2 Matchup Maximizer listeners against each other, then who knows? May the best person win. But yeah, next week we'll be talking about week 1 of the playoffs. So that'll be a lot of fun. And again, I've got a really fun episode lined up with Steve Laidlaw to talk about the trade deadline. I'll be recording that just in around 24 hours from now. If you're a patron, come join us live. I've already shared the link on the patron Discord. If you're not a patron, you'll get that on Monday. Or hey, you still have time to become a patron. KeepingCarlson.com/patron to get that live experience. You could ask Steve and I questions as we're recording. It's always a really fun time, a fun little perk of being a patron along with joining our awesome community. So yeah, thanks for listening. Good luck with your streaming. Hope to see you in the playoffs. See ya.